What was your income like before you signed up with AR?
This year, 2026, you could say I started in April. Before that, I was hovering between 5 and 6K. May, I closed out just under 10K, $50 under 10K. And then this month, I'm paced to hit like 7 to 8. So, I mean, the income has gone up. The leads have, of course, expanded, and I've just been able to actually, find my way across working with these cases that I prefer working.
Welcome back to AR Podcast. My name is Mike Crowson. Today I'm excited to have Jimmy on here. And Jimmy is a functional health coach, used to be in the bodybuilding space as well. And just having the conversation with him prior and looking at his content, you're going to see this guy really knows what he's talking about when it comes to functional health. He's had some of the best coaches in the space that he's mentored from. And so I'm excited to dive in and get you to share some knowledge with us today, man.
Looking forward to it.
All right, man. So I always like to ask this question first. It's like, what got you in the fitness in the very beginning?
So it started off ever since I was 5 or 6 years old, just seeing, very cliche, but seeing the muscle guys on the magazines, wanting to look like that. Starting off with, push ups, sit ups, all the basics since I was really young. Got my first gym membership around the age of 11 or 12. I remember I used to ride my bike there every day. And it just became one of those things where I just couldn't see myself going about my life without weight training. And
Mhm.
then that carried on into high school football. That built a lot of mental strength. And then coming out of high school, I broke my leg my senior year of football before we actually played our first game. So it kind of was like a mental drought after not really knowing what to turn to. I briefly turned to CrossFit at the time, and then I just really wanted that competitive spirit. So I found my way into competitive bodybuilding. At the time, it was men's physique, and then turned into classic physique, and then and so forth.
Right on. And at this point, like in your coaching career, is like, who is your ideal client? Who do you love to work with?
Who do I love to work with? I love to work with people who are in autoimmunity already. And this is very new. This is something that I just started working with within the past year, year and a half. I notice it's giving me a different type of satisfaction. And it actually, I feel like there's something always to look forward to when it comes to moving the needle within the client case. Whereas, the basic lifestyle client and bodybuilder is more monotonous, and it just kind of, I still work with those types of individuals in certain cases, but it's just nothing like the autoimmune cases, I feel like.
Totally. And so, what got you into the autoimmune world?
So I myself have an autoimmune condition. I have a ulcerative pancolitis, and I got this back in about 2021. And then that's how I ended up finding my way, working with different coaches. At the time, I worked with Phil Viz, who also has that condition, and he just showed me how to compete successfully just for at least the next couple of years. I really wanted to give myself a national run, and I was working so long and hard for that. And I was like, I at least want to go out saying I at least stepped on that national stage,
Mhm.
gave it a try before I hung it up. So I
Totally.
bodybuilded successfully for about 2 years. I went into my final prep knowing it was my last prep. I just didn't wanna put my body through that any longer. And then I found my way out of bodybuilding, and then I really just didn't have much control over the autoimmune condition because I started finding my way into different businesses with my father and just other just endeavors that I dipped my hand into. I guess the stresses of all of that really pushed the immune system up even harder. And then I found my way under Jason Theobald at the time. So he mentored me, he coached me. It completely changed my outlook on everything and how I perceive coaching and how I approach these types of cases. And then I'm also currently in Dom's Blueprint. So that has been absolutely phenomenal. I love just running through his lectures and just learning as much as I could. That's really how I found myself into it, is really just having a condition myself and then learning how to work it and then helping other people.
Right on. So Jason, I've known for, oh man, at this point, I feel like 5 years, 6 years. So I used to do marketing in e-commerce world. And so I basically set up his Shopify Scooby Health website. Back then it was Scooby Prep. And then also New Ethics as well. Did a lot of marketing for them. So I've got to know Jason and then Vince Penstick and all those guys. They do come from that functional health side, who also come from bodybuilding as well, right? So you dropped some really great names and some really great mentors. And so it's no wonder why you've been able to accumulate so much knowledge so fast. Being that you've only been doing this for a short amount of time, essentially. But when you learn from the best, it becomes easy, right?
100%.
And so, how would somebody know when it's time to maybe check an autoimmune disease versus just this is just how I am?
So there's so many different autoimmune cases. And there's so many different buckets that we can focus on that can push somebody's immune system into overdrive that it could look like something else at first glance because the symptoms aren't always exactly the same, I should say. So let's say we're dealing with somebody with hypothyroidism, like a Hashimoto case. I say, unless it's diagnosed, of course, because if it's diagnosed, you have it. But if you don't have a diagnosis and you're running into all these different types of symptoms, whether that is, bloating, fatigue, brain fog, things like that are always a good area to look at and start at. And then if somebody comes to me, I always like to trigger things with a really deep rooted questionnaire that triggers different types of gut issues where people really aren't usually aware of what's going on inside their body. A lot of times they can distinguish gut issues as just general bloat, a stomach ache, diarrhea, constipation, whereas this questionnaire goes so much deeper with different types of skin issues, fibromyalgia, just different things like that. That can give a lot of insight on what's really going on with somebody. Then, of course, obviously, blood work, more of a functional type of lab, could give us a lot of insight as well. It could be my opinion or my analysis. I notice people, their stress resilience changes as time moves on. So, something that may have stressed them out or freaked them out in the past, may be a lot easier now for them to get stressed, whereas 5, 10 years in the past, that same stressor may have not affected them the same. A lot of times the HPA axis dysregulation, so the gut and brain just really aren't communicating properly. But yeah, other than that, just basic testing and analysis in that sense.
And I think to kind of stack on that, when it comes to the autoimmune disease, you talked about having that form that you have people fill out. Like, how can somebody fill out that form to learn more?
To learn more. So definitely, I mean, when I am talking to somebody, whenever I do open up a conversation or somebody opts into a lead magnet or, DMs me, if I suspect once I ask them what's going on, if I suspect that I would need more information, it's usually the first area that I'll usually send them that questionnaire immediately before even booking a call with them, just so I can get some more information. Now, granted, when somebody's filling these types of questionnaires out, it's kind of based on their subjective, what they're analyzing. So it's not
Mhm.
completely accurate, but it is a good starting point just to at least see, is it worth maybe getting a GI map and discussing that, getting different types of labs.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And so at this point, it's like we like working with autoimmune people, but like describe me your favorite type of client.
Favorite type of client is, I love working gut cases, although that could backfire. I could be biting my own words. A lot of times a gut case could be so far down the line, I should say, that a person kind of needs a therapist before they need a coach. I hate to say that, but
Sure.
I've come across quite a few cases like that where I look back on working a case and wished I wouldn't have even taken the client on.
Mhm.
Whereas now I'm a little bit better at least consulting with an individual to see if we would be a good fit or not. And when we are a good fit and when they do seem pretty level headed and it hasn't gotten to that point, I love working gut cases. I love working a case when somebody has a test in front of them. That's always the best. Now, granted, it's a double edged sword because there can be a case like this where, all the expenses just pile up and then getting all these additional tests can just be more of a hindrance on the person.
Right.
So that's kind of like a double-edged sword that I deal with. And then I like working with a client who knows that there is a solution as long as they want to actually figure it out. Not just hire me, get onboarded, get a plan, and think you're gonna be completely better within 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever it is. If these conditions took 1, 2, 5, 10 years to accumulate, it's gonna take some time to reverse.
Makes
So
a lot
yeah.
of sense. And then at this point, have you found that these autoimmune diseases are we curable, or is it just management or pain management or symptom management?
So I don't want to go and say curable because in most cases, when somebody's immune system is flagged and it's not really shutting off, that's usually the issue, is that it won't shut off.
Hmm.
People have a misconception that it's more of the immune system is pushed up too hard or too high, whereas the main issue is that it just won't signal off. Now, I've put quite a few of them into remission, about 4 or 5 different cases. Now, they can't fall off of their routine and
Right.
their lifestyle, or it will
Yeah.
come back in most cases. I've heard of some cases where people claim that they completely got a full reversal. Not really sure how or how that is possible, but people do claim that. And I know there is some more recent studies on how they're interpreting these autoimmune cases. And I know overseas they are doing some different types of treatments that have hopefully a positive future for these
Sure.
types of cases.
I think it's very interesting there because a lot of different ways to actually try to get somebody to reduce right? Autoimmune, whether it's routine, food, right? Like blue light, like reducing stimulants, like so many different things, right? I've never heard anybody speak on cold plunge or like cold showers. Do you have any thoughts on that being a reducer of, let's say,
So, I
stress?
started working with Jason. That was in my morning routine every day. It was a cold shower, getting the water over the back of my neck and eyes really like to stimulate the vagus nerve. Now, personally, I know you can go back on a podcast I did with him. It was actually the biggest needle mover in my personal
Really?
healing. That and then getting bare feet on the grass for about 20, 30 minutes a day was definitely a game changer for me because with my symptoms, I'm pretty much able to tell within hours whether a modality is working or not. Whereas other autoimmune conditions, it might take a little bit longer, a couple weeks to notice the needle moving. Now, with cold plunging, I notice if somebody's nervous system is too dysregulated, a full plunge might throw it off further.
Right. Makes
I'll kind of warn people like, you can try a minute up to maximum 3 minutes. If you do feel like it's stressing you out further, get out of it, do a shower. But I have gotten some feedback that the showers are harder because their body won't regulate. It's like one moment it's hitting the front of the body, then the next moment the back.
so your
So I
body can't
mean,
get used to it.
right, right, right. But I do both. My gym, my lifetime membership has a cold plunge, and then I still do cold showers in the morning. Whenever I remember, I'll just turn the water to cold at the end of the shower and get under there for about 2, 3 minutes.
I'm a big cold shower guy. So for me, I had a plunge. I have one. I actually just haven't used it in quite some time, funny enough. But I know how well I'm handling the stress that I have based on how much the cold water affects me. When
It's a
I get
great
into a
thing.
plunge and it's like another day in the park, I'm handling stress very well. When I get into a plunge and it's like a panic attack, I'm like, bro, you're struggling on the inside right now. You just don't know it. So to me, it's a good regulator to figure out where am I at on this stress management internal scale. And I'll do a cold shower post workout. I don't like do warm and then cold. I just go rip right
Stick
into
to
the cold and then just
like
warm up afterwards and then just get out. But the cold would like, just, I just found that I don't know why that came to my mind because I know that's about, I talked about it last night in my church group, but it's like that allows you to see where we're at on a stress test, if you would. I thought I was like, well, hang on, like I could definitely see how I could throw somebody worse because it is spiking stress for a short amount of time. But at the same time, the benefits of it is actually to deregulate that stress. So I want to get your opinion on it. So I'm just really glad to hear that it's like been game changing for you to be able to
100%.
incorporate
Yes.
that. And my question to you is when it comes to the feet on the ground, everybody talks about grounding, get your feet on the ground, grass. What is the science behind that and how that actually will reduce
Electro
stress or
Basically electrons coming up from the earth, flowing in through our feet, of course. Anything exposed to help with inflammatory benefit, anti-inflammatory effects, stress regulation. Now, this might sound a little graphic, but with colitis, you have ulcers in your colon, so you do lose blood. Now, I've noticed a complete shift within 24 hours. One day, it can look like I'm in the midst of a flare. I can go and ground, and within the next day, it's like I didn't have colitis for 24 hours. So I've seen that happen. Now, granted, if I ground every single day, I notice that my body kind of gets used to it. I have not looked into that, nor do I understand the science behind that. That's something I would have to look into and actually dig through.
yeah.
But I don't understand why my body has gotten used to that. But I do notice if I haven't grounded in a week and then I go outside and I ground, the next day I see a night and day difference from joint pain because I do feel a little bit more joint pain with the overactive immune system and the inflammatory disease.
Hmm.
So I could distinguish what's happening with the symptoms on my body. So it's one of those things that I definitely stand behind because what I've seen firsthand. But yeah, it's really just the electrons coming up from the earth.
Have you seen those grounding sheets that you can put on your bed?
I have one.
I have one as well. I haven't used it in probably like 8 months. The wife hates it on the bed, but I used to have one thinking like, well, maybe this will do something because my feet never touch the ground.
Right.
But cool. Well, John, I'm really glad to hear that you're not only out here just educating, helping people, but it's like we're helping through. I'm doing the same thing and I'm dealing with it. And so, how much do you think having an autoimmune disease allows you to relate to your clients?
I don't think I would be doing what I do today if I didn't have this condition. It If I did not have this condition, I still somehow found my way in this space. I don't think I would really understand when a client came to me with an excuse because I'm not in their shoes, but now I'm in their shoes, so I can really it's completely different than a lifestyle client or even a competitor. Whereas when you get that basic excuse from a client and you've heard it 100 different times in 100 different ways. Something about the autoimmune cases just make me, I don't want to say feel bad more, but I can stand that they're so dysregulated that they're not really in their right space of mind. I'm much more patient with them than the average client. And I've noticed that's because of the way I was when I was in the midst of a flare. And I just look back at when Jason was coaching me, and I remember I was a head case for the first month. So I like to reflect on that. And then once I see the client make some progress, I like to analyze them and see if they are improving. And if they're not mentally improving, then I would like to dig through that a little bit deeper. And if it's something that I can't help with, that's where I would recommend further help elsewhere.
Right on, man. Well, dude, thank you so much for that. How long you been with AR now?
Few months since April.
April.
March, I onboarded in March and it started officially late April.
Awesome. So we're looking at 90 days, give or take. What was something that you hated before you signed up with AR?
Not talking to enough people daily. I know that sounds very simple, but not starting enough conversations and not knowing how to go about starting conversations. AR has made it to where now I have a system that I don't want to say forces people in my DMs, but it almost forces people into my DMs and it starts some really meaningful conversations. So that has been game changer for me personally.
And so, how in your account have we essentially done that?
So basically, magnets talking about what I put myself through, and then I made some content based around what I put myself through and what I went through over the last year and a half or so, mixed with some carousels to get on the algorithm. Now, those lead magnets, there's been a couple of posts where it was just nonstop. So it was almost like I just had an unlimited list of people to talk to.
And you talking
So
about
I
like with a comment keyword and we send them in?
Either some of them were comment keywords, some of them were pre-recorded from when I first started with AR, so I didn't know we had the comment keywords, so I had them going in right into my bio, and that both of them worked pretty good.
Right on. And then what was your biggest hesitation before signing up with AR?
The back-end system and learning it, whereas it's more simple than it looks at first, and I just was really hesitant on learning something completely new when I was used to going about it a certain way for the past 5, 6 years now, and I'm still adjusting, but I feel like the more I play around with the app or when I go on my tablet and go into the website, I'm learning more and more as we go, and I just can see it expanding further.
Absolutely. It's one of those things we always make the joke that, like, dude, remodeling the kitchen sounds terrible, but man, how nice is it once you do it? It just,
Mhm.
the idea sucks.
Right.
But on the other side of that is bliss because everything becomes organized. It's in one place. It's trackable. We feel like a real business. We're professional with everything we do to our leads and clients. It just makes the world go round once you get over the hump of like, I have to learn something new. Just like a lot of your
Right.
clients, right? They have to learn the new things on how to do it to see the results. And then once they do it, they're like, I can't believe this was easy as actually as I thought it was just gonna be so much harder. And so what was your how did you come across AR?
I come across AR last year. I don't remember exactly how I came across AR, but I do know you guys were just starting to become more well known. And I just started to see a lot of different things across social media. I think I seen your specific social media and definitely spiked my attention. And I remember I think we were just DMing back and forth, and you gave me a little bit of a breakdown on what you guys do, and then that's how I pretty much figured out who you guys are.
Right on. And then what was your income like before you signed up with AR?
So this year, 2026, you could say I started in April. Before that, I was hovering between 5 and 6K. May, I closed out just under 10K, $50 under 10K. Yeah. And then this month, I'm paced to hit 7 to 8. Whereas I haven't posted as much this month. That is definitely a factor. But still, I mean, the income has gone up. The leads have, of course, expanded, and I've just been able to actually find my way across working with these cases that I prefer working.
For sure. So we have more consistency. Sounds like we've almost doubled some revenue in the business for 40%, 30%, depending on the month. And so now it's like, but you have a predictable way of like, hey, man, if I do the post, I do the things, maths, I get calls booked, I close clients, I get the coach clients. What would you say to the person that's doing that $5,000 to $6,000 a month and they're going, do I need a CRM system yet? Should I sign up with AR or should I wait? What would you tell them?
I would tell them as long as they're doing good by their clients and they have, at least a word of mouth reputation built up, jump into it because when you have a system in place, it makes everything so much more organized and you're actually leaving money on the table without a system. That's what I noticed.
Is able to
And
track your
it's,
leads, the
yeah,
CRM, everything just becomes a little bit easier, right? Right on. So what's been your favorite feature out of everything that we do for AR?
I like the automations with the calls booked because people actually show up to the call when you're giving them a reminder. I like the lead automation system you guys have going on in the ManyChat integration. That's made it very nice just to go through the AR app, put in the lead magnet, and then let Instagram do what it's supposed to do.
Mhm.
So that has been really cool. And then just having everything in one area, whereas I could just go into the app and talk to people right from there, has been really nice.
I love it. Well, dude, man, I appreciate you coming on here, sharing your knowledge. Appreciate you being a client of ours as always. It's been amazing. Love to hear a good success story as well, and at least a happy client. It's not about the money; it's about the peace of mind you get with having everything in place and feeling like a business and running a business. And so, dude, I just want to say thanks, Jimmy, for coming on.
Thank you for
Where
having me.
can people find you?
Instagram, Baby Bird Physique. Facebook is the same name if they're on Facebook. But yeah, that's basically it.
All right, my man. Well, dude, I appreciate it, and until next time.
Of course, man. It's a pleasure.